Hello and welcome to episode 71 of the RetroSlot podcast. This week we're featuring Zombie Nation. This might be the weirdest NES game I've ever played.
It's on the list. Yeah, one of the what was it? Mashable put it as number 2
Number
of the
2.
weirdest video game to exist
Weirdest video
ever.
game ever? Oh man, that's
It's number 2.
like off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that's weird. Well,
Night Trap.
plumbers don't wear ties was pretty weird. uh yeah, Night Trap, I don't know. This is definitely weirder than Night Trap. Oh, it's a
Number
weird game. I
1.
can't wait to talk about it though, because I did
Yeah,
enjoy it. Honestly, like
yeah,
it's definitely worth picking up. Well, though depending.
yeah. Make sure you go out and pick up the cart. Yeah,
Yeah, you might
completely
want to.
reasonable cost
It is available on the Switch, so you can play it on Switch.
for the low price of $400. You too can own a cart.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip that one. But I did like this game. I actually I was talking to Wilson via Twitter chat, and I'm like, oh, I'm playing Zombie Nation on the NES because he sent me the NES that is RGB modded. I'm like, it looks fantastic. Like I'm still shocked how good like an NES can look because it looks so crappy, like base level. He's like, that game's amazing. I'm like, yeah, it's
So, how are you playing it? Did you put in like a flash card or something?
flash cart. Yes, I put in a flash cart, like one of those Ever Drives.
Got it.
Um, and I was playing it on there. It is available on the Switch, like I said, and apparently the Switch version is not too bad and comes with the Japanese version on the cart, as well as kind of like some extras like artwork and manuals and stuff like that. So I do think I'm going to go on eBay because it came out in like 2021. And it was one of those like limited releases, like through one of those website that, oh, we're going to offer this game for like 5 minutes and, fuck you if you don't get it.
Funny
Uh,
story about that.
yeah.
I think was it Retro? It might be Retrobit or so. I didn't actually put it in the news, but the company that created the physical version of this game
Yeah.
put out an apology, and it specifically cites this game because they haven't shipped it in like over 2 years or something like that.
Well, it's on
They're
eBay.
like,
You can buy it. Like people have it
or I'm
in
thinking of
hand.
something else, but they were generally the company that made this was generally like, sorry for our delays and
Yeah,
this,
some of the
that, and the other.
games I've been waiting for some games for well over a year that I've bought
Yeah.
off of those websites, which sucks, but whatever. What are you gonna do? Anywho, Jay, you went to the retro gaming convention. Is that what it's
Retro
called?
Game Expo, yeah,
Expo.
Portland Retro Game Expo. Yeah.
How was it?
So it's local. I'm like 20 or 30 minutes away. Parking was $10, which is great for this area, all things considered, at the convention center. Last year when I went, I took my son and he was over it in about an hour.
Sure.
So this year I was like, I love my kid, but I'm going for me.
Yeah.
So, uh, the wife took the kids out of town to go see the solar eclipse actually. So
Oh, nice.
went down to her family's farm and they made like a weekend out of that, which was pretty cool. And so I was like, kind of by myself, just doing the nerd guy thing, and went to the convention and actually got to see like all of the vendors. I didn't really play anything in the arcade or anything like that, but got to hang out a little bit with our friend Ryan Niemiller, who there's a funny story. Who Two of the people that we've had on the podcast, Ryan Niemiller, who's a stand-up comedian, go check him out. He's hilarious. And Josh from Side Quest Games. I'm blanking on his last name right now. Josh is now like, I think he's one of the main organizers. Side Quest Games is some of the main organizers of the retro convention now. So like, I don't know very many people in the space, right? Like considerably, like comparatively to like the Destiny community, for example. But two of the people that were involved, I just happen to know. So they were very nice and very accommodating and like let me tag along, which was nice. But even other than that, like getting to see the auction stuff, like getting to see a lot of people had like prototype stuff there, like yellow card Zelda cartridge, all sorts of stuff, wild things, like complete in box little Samson and clay fighter sculptor's cut and all sorts of crazy stuff. Obviously, I didn't spend that kind of money, but I did take some money, bought some things, more than I was planning on, really. And it was a good time. Like, it was good to just like be able to nerd out,
Yeah,
and connect. And Ryan, I don't know. I feel a lot in common with him, so it's cool to just like hang out and chat and talk
that's
about
good.
stuff, and then be entertained by him because
It's
he
nice
just
to
had
be
a
in the
kid,
same physical space as a friend
right?
as well. Like as
Yeah,
opposed to like chatting over, some kind of text chat or even
right, right.
voice chat.
Him and his wife just had a kiddo, so
Yeah.
5-month-old boy, like,
Well,
and so half of
congratulations.
his, yeah, congratulations to Ryan. Everybody go wish him well on social media, please. And but like half of his stand-up routine now is about his kid,
Yeah, I tend
like
to.
all the silly things. For any parents out there, there's a lot of material
Yeah.
to be had, but it was fun to hear about poop jokes while you're trying to eat dinner. That was convenient timing, I thought. Uh, but no, it was good. I enjoyed it, and yeah, I'm trying to convince Briar to come out next year, and we can make it more of a formal
It would be
like
fun.
gig or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that
It's
would be
cool.
fun.
L-
I
Yeah, a
have
lot of
been thinking about attempting the Cannonball Run, so it would be convenient. The race where you drive as fast as you can from New York to LA.
oh
And then I can just scoot up your way, right?
yeah. How many tickets are you planning to get?
None. I'm not planning on getting any. Are you saying I should work
What
that into my
highway do you
budget?
take for that?
Ooh,
Yeah.
I don't think you should say.
Oh, you don't want it on public record what roads to take,
Right.
but
I would like to come out for that though. It does sound fun.
sounds about right. It's usually in October, so it started on Friday the 13th, so a lot of it was kind of like their passes were Halloween themed and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I like that idea.
Yep. And then this weekend is TwitchCon in Vegas, which I'm leaving on Thursday for. And realistically speaking, I'm going for two reasons. One, gamble. Two, hang out with people at night. Like
Yeah.
that's it. Like at this point I've been around a minute. I don't really care too much about the con itself,
Yeah.
respectfully.
Don't
Like
jump to
walking
any ball
around
pits. That's all I'm saying.
the foam pit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll and my wife is coming down for a couple of nights, so we'll probably go like on Saturday. That'll be the big con day. But like Friday, I might just like play in a poker tournament all day. Like
Oh, that sounds
honestly,
fun.
I haven't. Yeah, I don't get to spend time in Vegas very often, so
Yeah.
it'll be fun though. What are you up to? What have been going? What's been going on with you?
Well, I'm planning on actually going to the East Coast Throwdown, which is like a fighting game tournament, and it's coming right up. If it's not this weekend, it's the next weekend. I should actually double check what days that is. But that's gonna be really fun because I've never been to like an in real life fighting game tournament. I watch them all like live on Twitch, like when they're
Mm-hmm.
happening, and I
Mm-hmm.
do really enjoy it. And this is gonna be Street Fighter, the normal new Mortal Kombat game, as well as some other classic games. And it's not like one of the top tier tournaments, but it's like just a step under that. So you do get a lot of like the famous pro level players, which I'm excited to be, part of the hype crowd, like watching all that. I do like a good sporting event, and I do consider this to be like a, same kind of a vibe. So I'm looking forward to doing that. That's coming right up. I want to get some. I was thinking about actually trying to compete or just entering.
Oh, is
Um,
there like an amateur
well,
bracket or something
everybody's
like that?
an amateur until you start winning, right?
That's fair.
But I don't plan on winning, and I'm not good enough to expect to win. But I thought it'd be a fun experience to join in anyway. It's a pretty inexpensive thing to do. You join in, even if you lose, you get to fight two different people, maybe even a pro. So it'd be pretty fun to do. Um, but the realities of my scheduling right now did not afford me the freedom to schedule that like for
Ahead of
sure.
time. Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm
that's
kind of
fair.
like I'm gonna go down there when I have time, if I have time. But I am
Any
looking
given
forward to it.
Sunday, Briar. Any given Sunday, you can win it all.
Oh, I doubt it. Maybe you
You
can.
could though. You could. You
No.
could.
Yeah.
So is that like driving? Is that like driving distance for you, or
Oh yeah, it's like a 40-minute ride away.
that's not bad? That's cool.
Yeah.
You'll have to
Uh,
keep us updated on that.
we were thinking, so My life is kind of like just crazy busy right now for like non YouTube related stuff. But we were thinking we're gonna like do like a ferry because a lot of people fly in, and we're gonna like kind of shuttle people back and forth for the tournament. But I couldn't commit to that even, so I was like, hopefully next year I'll be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So we got some discussion topics. Let's start with yours because you were to talk about Las Vegas.
Yeah, so I was just, I'm going to Vegas.
Yeah.
I don't love staying in Vegas for more than like a handful of days, right? It
Mm-hmm.
starts getting to be a little bit too much. But a good 3-4 day, TwitchCon, CES, something like that is about what I can handle. But I was curious what kind of stuff you enjoy doing in Las Vegas, if you enjoy going there at all.
I've never been to
Oh,
Las Vegas,
oh, book your tickets. Let's go, Briar. Come on.
and it's not even on my top 100 of places to go.
Wow.
It's like when I watch like media from there, I'm like, this doesn't seem like it's my scene even a little bit. Now, if I did
It
go,
seems okay.
if I did go, I've always had the fantasy that I'd rent like a big motorcycle, like a big Harley Davidson, and ride it out to go see the Hoover Dam. Because that looks like it'd be an amazing day, right?
Okay.
I don't know. Does that count though? Because my fantasy of
No.
Vegas is leaving
No.
Vegas.
No. It does not count. So the reason I think this would be your place,
Yeah,
first of all, free drinks pretty much everywhere if you're gambling, right?
I do like free drinks. It's my
Quote
favorite
unquote
kind.
free. Quote unquote free,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Also, I just recently learned about the Taco Bell Cantina, which I am excited to go. It's a
Okay, tell me more.
24-hour Taco Bell that you can get married in.
Oh
Also, it
yeah,
has a full bar, so any like Taco Bell drinks like Baja Blast, you can get alcoholic like as a Slurpee. And there's like a DJ and a dance floor and like a back room and stuff. So I really want to check that out.
yeah.
But
That
yeah,
does
they
seem
have like
like
a
something to check
marriage
out.
package. I think it's like $900 to
That's
get married.
that's an
It's a lot
amazingly
cheaper.
affordable
It's
marriage.
a lot cheaper than a normal wedding. That's for sure.
I
But so I want to
wasn't
check
that
that out.
Dan Reichert like kind of made that happen. Like Dan
I have
Reichert, the
no
guy.
idea.
So he was one of the Giant Bomb podcast crew. Do you know Giant
Okay.
Bomb?
Yeah.
Like he was one of those guys. He wanted to get married at a Taco Bell because I don't know. He's Dan Reichert, and he did. He got married at a Taco Bell. I don't know if it was that Taco Bell or if that's connected in some way, but it does remind me. Yeah, man, I
So
like free drinks, but I like quieter places, like because I like to talk to people, and like that's I don't like clubs. Also, we have casinos here in Connecticut, but they're like they're in the woods, and even they're kind of quieter. I get a little anxious when I'm in like yeah, when there's like a lot going on. Even like when I'm in crowds, I often put on earphones just to kind of
Mhm,
block out some of the noise.
sure.
It's just a lot for me. So
What
like
about
a
like
lot of the attractions that Vegas has, I can get locally. I feel in
like
a
bigger
slightly
bigger deep stack poker tournaments too?
no, not poker tournaments like you guys got out in Las Vegas, but we have poker tournaments at the casinos here. We have 2 casinos that do poker. I don't
Very
play
cool.
that much poker anymore. Like I played a
Yeah.
lot back in the day,
I
but I
don't I yeah,
haven't played in a
I
long time.
played occasionally. Like I had like a month a little while ago where I kind of played a lot, but and then I kind of get sick of it because you get so many bad beats and you got to take a break. You're like, all right, I've had enough of this reverse dopamine for a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but I do also like the way that I phrase it. Like if you lose a few $100s or something, it's not the end of the world,
No.
really, realistically. But if you can have a shot to win a life-changing amount of money, that's
Yeah.
pretty exciting to me.
It is pretty
I don't know.
exciting. Absolutely.
So
I mean, that's why we play Powerball and shit, right?
yeah, it's not like we gamble a lot. I don't do lottery stuff or anything like that, but we've won, my wife and I both have won like smallish chunks of money, and I like that dopamine.
Yeah.
I love dopamine hits and like winning in poker or like winning a small jackpot and like on a slot machine or something like that. It feels good, and I chase that
Yeah.
pretty
Me and
regularly.
you played poker, I think, at about the same time when poker was just huge, right?
Early 2000s. Yeah, I was
It
in
was
college.
on it was on like half the TV channels were playing some kind of poker. ESPN had it as like a mainstay. Like
Mhm.
just everybody was watching poker. But the only thing they ever showed on TV of poker was people pushing all in and bluffing, right? So if you actually
Because that's
went,
the exciting stuff.
that's
Folding
all.
is the
That's what makes for good TV. But if you went to play poker in real life at a casino, people would show up to those tables just completely juiced out of their brain, right? Just complete, and all they knew of poker was what they had seen on TV. Just push it in. So all you had to do was sit there and wait it out. Wait it out.
Mhm.
It was such a like sit there with ear pods on. I'd be listening to podcasts or music and just like, oh, hey, look at me. I got a couple aces. Any idiots around here? Because nobody was paying attention to the guy who was just quietly sitting there at the end of the table, not playing. And then suddenly he starts playing. Nobody realizes, oh, he hasn't been playing a long time. Maybe he's got really good cards. They're too drunk. They didn't care.
There's a stereotype for people like that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's called no, you.
Oh, okay.
There's a term for that now. Like poker, there's a new wave. They call this thing GTO. It's basically optimal poker strategy.
Yeah.
And so it shows you like in what position you're supposed to open with what cards and what position you're supposed to 3-bet and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so they call like overly tight aggressive people nits, NIT. Basically it means they're folding 99% of the time. If they're being super aggressive and opening, just fold. Just
Yeah, but that was the thing is nobody
old man
paid
talk.
attention to any of that.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was so easy to just sit there.
It's a lot different now. That's
It's a lot different now because people like the only people who are left were the people who made a bunch of money back then, picking on all the idiots. It's
There's
no
a lot of
fun anymore.
resources out there now. Your average poker player now is a lot more informed.
Right? It's
than
no
used to
fun
be,
anymore.
for
That's
sure.
what I'm saying.
I still enjoy it. I enjoy it's easier for me to play against informed players than informed players because you can't predict what somebody that's not informed. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's true.
Like if they don't know what they're doing, it's a lot harder to play against them because you can't predict what they're doing.
That's true. Favorite third party controller. So I was playing with I was playing a little N64 today with one of these Retro Fighters N64 controllers. And then I switched over and I was playing a little bit of Zombie Nation with a with a Sega Saturn controller. And I was wondering, geez, I like a lot of these controllers, but I really hate some of these controllers. And for most of my life, third-party controllers have been the worst of the worst, right? It's like they're literally like the joke is they're the thing that you hand over to like your cousin when he comes over.
Mad
But
Cats.
some of them have been, yeah, Mad Catz, Pelican. There's been a bunch of brands throughout the years, but some of them have gotten pretty good. And we're gonna talk. I definitely want to talk about that a little bit later, because we'll be expecting an 8-bit do N64 controller very soon.
Shh, it's a secret.
But I have started playing with this 8-bit do M30 controller, and I basically use this for everything now on my Mr. FPGA. Like I don't bother pulling out the NES controller for that purpose. But I was playing on the NES today, and again, I went with an 8-bit do controller because it feels very much like an NES controller, but it's wireless. So I was wondering, what's kind of your favorite third-party controller?
I originally was gonna say I don't have one because I don't like third-party controllers. But if you
Yeah.
consider 8-bit do controllers third-party, then pretty much anything they make.
Oh, okay.
To be honest, those retro-bit N64 controllers I don't like too much because they're super.
No, I don't like it either.
They feel lightweight and hollow on the inside.
I don't
right?
like any controller I've ever used on any N64 period, including the first party ones.
Fair, fair. So hopefully the analog ones,
Yeah, I am hoping.
spoiler alert, are gonna be better. But yeah, I mean the 8-bit do stuff, it just feels solid. It feels well made, well built,
Yeah.
put together. There's no, there's no kind of like movement in the controller or the D-pad or anything like that that you wouldn't expect. So I'd say pretty much all of their stuff. Any stuff growing up, I was never a huge fan of.
No.
Third party stuff. Like everything had to be official because the build quality is just different, right?
There have been consoles though that just had bum controllers. Like the Dreamcast was one of those. It just had like a not good controller. So I was always kind of on.
Dreamcast, yeah.
I was always on the lookout for other controllers for the Dreamcast. I think I finally, the Mad Catz controller ended up being kind of my favorite one, ironically.
Mad Catz, I mean, It's not the worst, but yeah, it was they were
They
one
were
of the
pretty
first.
bad. Some of
They
them
were one of
were
the
really
first.
bad. Yeah.
I think they were one of the first, and also some of the first officially licensed third-party controller support too,
Yeah, I don't know.
right?
I'm
Because
not sure.
like as far as Nintendo goes, I feel like.
Um, there was an ASCII controller for the Super Nintendo. So what I've heard about this controller is it basically looks and feels like a regular, like a first party controller, except it had these switches on it to do turbo on all of the buttons. I don't know.
Mhm.
Have you ever seen that controller? It's
I
got
probably would recognize it if I saw it. Is it the one with like the D-pad that looks like a mouse pad
no, the
with the
D-pad is
tone?
exactly like a standard Super Nintendo controller. The buttons are
I'll look it
colored
up.
like the Famicom, Super Famicom. But that was my favorite controller for the
Oh,
Super
right.
Nintendo.
I do recognize this. Yes, it has the like the bump at the top thing.
Yeah, so it's essentially it's basically just a Super Nintendo first party controller with turbo functionality, and
Right.
it was fantastic.
The
That was
ASCII
probably
pad.
the first one that I ever had that I really loved. The ASCII pad. I think
I do.
they made
I do
one for
recognize
other consoles as well, like the Turbo Graphics, but I've never had one for any other console. I still have mine from childhood from the for the Super Nintendo, and I still use it with my Super Nintendo.
Apparently, ASCII also made a one-handed SNES controller too.
That's convenient for playing
It looks like a
RPGs,
mouse.
so you
It
can
almost looks like a
snack and
mouse. Depends on what game you're playing, you know. But yeah,
yeah. All right, so should we get
man,
into the news?
yeah. There's a lot. I mean, there's not. We didn't put a ton of news in here, but the news that we put in here, some of them are like
Hard hitting,
really exciting, like
big
really exciting
news,
stories.
big
Yeah. So
big
big,
big
big news.
news.
Y'all might have heard that there's a new voice for Mario, at least in the new Mario. What is that Switch game coming out? Where he turns
Wonder.
into an elephant. Wonder, yeah. So a new voice actor for Super Mario Brothers Wonder. It's no longer gonna be Charles Martinet. He is retiring. There's no confirmation yet as to if this new voice is the ongoing one, but just for Super Mario Brothers Wonder, it's Kevin Afghani, I believe is how you pronounce that, or Afghani. He
Nailed it.
doesn't have a lot of credits up to this point, but he kind of looks like he could be a Mario brother. To be honest,
He
like
does. He kind of
respectfully,
does.
he's not a bad looking dude, but he looks like he's he's part of the family already. So there you go. We'll have to see what that sounds like and if he's the one that is going to kind of carry the torch forward. He looks pretty young too. Can't be more than mid-20s.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and Nintendo's like, get somebody young in here so we can ride him for a long ass time.
Right. We could pay him less money, probably.
Oh,
Although they
100%
have kept Charles Martinet in like a Martinet in a
consulting format.
yeah consulting position, and they seem to be treating him well. He doesn't. So I don't know. Hopefully, it's
Pretty
not
awesome
just
though.
kicking him to the curb.
What do you think about this? I mean, can
I
you
don't
think of
care.
any other voice actor for you don't care.
No.
Can you think of any other voice actor for any other role in any pop culture media that lasted as long as he did?
Um. No, but you did kind of spring that question on me.
I did.
Given
I mean,
given
that's a
10 minutes, I might
long
be able to come up with something. How about
actually
the
Simpsons.
Simpsons?
Simpsons
Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
yeah.
But
But I
other
don't
than
know.
that, like
Actually, yeah, definitely Simpsons would be longer.
38 years.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, he is definitely the iconic
Wait,
voice of
no.
Mario.
He started in the N64 one, didn't he?
Right, that'd be in the '90s. The Simpsons start
96.
in like the late '80s, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it would have been 27 years or so. It's a long time.
I mean, he did a great job. He immortalized. There had been people who played Mario, who voiced Mario before that, but he set the mold, the current mold of
Mhm.
what it's supposed to sound like. Until Chris Pratt shattered through it, broke through it with all that acting talent.
Eventually, they got Chris to do some of the sounds very similar. After I imagine some of the feedback after some of those trailers. But yeah, he did fine. It was fine.
Okay.
Also, speaking of Super Mario Brothers, I'm sure you're excited about this. The 1993 movie Super Mario Brothers Trust the Fungus, the original one, is getting a
Wait, trust the
4K.
fungus?
Apparently, that's the tagline of the movie.
That's
Yeah.
that's new. They added that. That
I don't
was
know. Or no, okay, so Trust the Fungus is the name of this 4K collection, I guess.
okay. All right.
Sorry. I saw the quotes and I just presumed that it was like what it was called back in the day. Uh yeah, and so they're basically taking the original film
Yeah.
and recasting it to 4K. However, I will say I watched this trailer, it looks messed up. It looks not good.
Really?
Like the color representation does not look right.
Oh, that's not good.
I don't know if the it looks really like
Oh yeah. What? No,
sep
this does not look
this
remastered.
no. Um
Okay, maybe
Even hitting the
that's
4K, the colors are weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just the trailer. But
yeah.
they took the original film from the film and they remastered it to be 4K. And my most exciting thing about this collection, it
Mm-hmm.
comes with a whole bunch of goodies for $100. For $100
$100.
plus shipping, probably. Listen, you get the 4K. It's not just a Blu-ray. Listen, over 250-page hardback bound book, including host of production materials, interviews, and artwork. 200-pound book of scripts, including early drafts.
A 200-pound
You
book.
get you get 200-page. You get a genuine Super Mario Brothers film cell in a collectible case from the original film, which is those can go for considerable amounts of money themselves, right? There's only so many of them made. They're like frames of the film. Uh, you get a replica of the souvenir magazine from 1993. There's artwork on the slipcase,
Is there
and you
any
get
stickers
some
though? I want stickers if I'm gonna put a
replica
hundred up.
lobby cards. I don't really know what those are.
No
And then
stickers.
there's two reversible posters, and then there's a sticker sheet.
There's stickers.
Sticker sheet. And limited edition number release. So I mean, $100 for all that stuff is not the worst deal in the world. I'm actually kind of excited about the interviews and stuff. Hopefully that stuff makes its way online. But
This movie is only notable to me because of what I've learned about it, like afterward, like after it was made in the last like 30
mm-hmm,
years, about how drunk the co-stars
mm-hmm,
were, like during every
mm-hmm,
scene. And now going
mm-hmm.
back and watching it, like it really opens up my enjoyment to the movie.
Let me tell you something too. So our community, I was like, I haven't seen this movie in a while. I want to watch it. So I was
Yeah,
gonna like buy it or like rent it or buy it even digitally to watch it, and you can't.
they
This
probably
is a
knew they were
movie.
gonna do this.
No, this movie has been stuck in a licensing hell for like
Oh,
20 years. The only way that you can buy this movie legally is to get a physical release edition of it. Like they do not sell this
like
up
get
to like
eBay
whatever 6 months
a
ago.
DVD or something.
Yeah, up till like 6 months ago when I was looking, like it didn't exist. I
That's
was
probably for
looking
the
like
better, Jay.
it was frustrating. Like I was like, I want to give somebody money,
Yeah,
but no, like it was weird. It was really strange. But I
yeah.
think it's because they've had issues like,
Nintendo's trying to hide it.
does Nintendo own it? Does who is it? Whoever it is, Universal, whoever owns the rights to it. Like, so it's like it been in this litigation rights conundrum kind of purgatory where nobody has resale rights or something. I don't know. It's weird. So there's not a whole lot of ways to get this movie legally unless you get a physical edition.
Right. Well, I'm gonna keep my $100, but I wish you the best.
I liked this movie because it was like, it was the big screen and it was Mario Brothers, man. I know it's a funky movie, but I loved this movie as a kid. I was 8 years old when this came out.
Yeah. Did you like it
Yeah,
when you were 8 years old?
I did.
Yeah.
I was surprised now looking back that my parents let me watch it. But
Kids are dumb.
was this even ESRB rated? Like it probably would be what,
No,
PG-13 at this point?
that's not ESRB. That's the MPAA, right?
Oh, so whatever, same stuff.
Probably
But yeah,
PG-13. Yeah. PG. No, it has to be PG. They couldn't have been
no, no
PG-13.
way it's PG.
Why would they make a Mario Brothers movie that's not like E for everybody?
I'm looking it up.
Okay.
Does not have good ratings.
No, because it's a terrible
FPAA.
movie. It's a
It
mess.
is rated. Wait, is it rated PG? No way, dude. It should not be rated PG.
It should be rated E for everybody. They should have made, if they're going to make a Mario movie, a video game movie based on Mario should be E for everybody. They messed up when they made that movie. That was just a mess from the get-go. Let's move on to the next one. I'm sick of talking about this dumbass movie. This movie is taking up too much of my life.
To update the comment about the trailer colors and stuff, it looks like they just took the original trailer and like remade it, so that's why it could be funky. So,
okay.
anyways, all right. So more on the movie. No, we were talking about Retro Bit a little while ago, and now they're going to be releasing a Sega Saturn wireless controller.
Yeah.
$49.99, which you might think that's pretty expensive.
It sure is.
It's because it comes with both a USB and an original V2 port,
and dual analog sticks. Oh, so what is this controller for?
Either playing on your PC, Saturn games, or playing on your actual Saturn wirelessly.
Yeah, there is an analog stick available for the Saturn, right? For games like Knights and a couple of games that use it, but not too many.
The big circle thing.
Yeah, looks kind of like a prototype Dreamcast controller. I have the Retrobit Saturn controller, the wireless Saturn controller, and I like it. It is very faithful to the original Saturn controller. Well, not the original Saturn controller, the original Japanese Saturn controller. Like, it feels just like it. But there have been a lot of reports of reliability issues with these. Mine has not had any reliability problems, luckily for me, but there have been quite a few. This is an interesting controller. Like, those look like mini analog sticks. It's also got extra shoulder buttons, so like the regular analog. Yeah, the regular Saturn controller just had an L and R button for shoulder buttons, but this has it's doubled up, so it definitely could be used for a lot of things. Does it come with a dongle, like a USB dongle? Like, how do you connect it to stuff?
It comes with two dongles, one USB wireless and the other was.
Oh, so that's just like the original Saturn controller that I have. It came with two dongles. It's interesting. I just don't know what the purpose of it is.
How much did you pay for yours? Do you remember? Probably $30 or $40.
Probably $40, I'm guessing.
I mean, this is only $10 more, so.
No, but I understand, like, the price doesn't bother me at all. I just what's the use case?
Oh, sure.
For those extra analog sticks and extra buttons. Because I'm not gonna play a game that requires analog sticks on that, because those are like they look like PSP style or PS Vita style analog sticks, which are fine for like a portable system, but not great for like extended play. So I'm just not.
Big kind of shift.
What I'm really looking forward to is they are developing a new Dreamcast controller, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what that ends up being. But I don't know. I might check this thing out just because I'm curious about it. Like, what would be like the. Yeah, I could actually see using this on a Mister, because every once in a while I'm playing like a PlayStation game that could use analog sticks, like Gran Turismo. So it'd be nice to just have them there instead of going to grab a different controller just to play that game. I don't know.
Somebody apparently I saw a preview of a YouTube video that said, "Holy crap! Finally, the Sega Pro controller has Hall effect analog sticks." So
yeah, they are Hall effect too.
This might be one of the only controllers for Saturn that exists like this.
There definitely is. There's no games that take advantage of two analog sticks on Saturn, because the only thing that ever shipped for Saturn with an analog stick was a single analog stick.
Weird.
Yeah, it is weird. I kind of want to get it just to see what functionality I could squeeze out of it. It is nice that they're Hall effect sensors too, because those won't wear out over time, theoretically anyway.
Right.
You know what I ordered the other day was that Hall effect. You know how 8BitDo made that Hall effect replacement joystick for the N64 controller?
Mm-hmm.
I just ordered one of those, so hopefully I'll be popping that thing in soon.
Is it like pre-order, or are you gonna get it immediately?
It should come immediately, I believe. Geez, now I better look. Didn't jump
I mean,
out
the
at me that it was a pre-order.
comments on this. Hold on.
What
I'm
you
just.
doing?
I was. No, I was. I was looking at porn. No, you're right. The analog stick is just a single analog stick. That's so weird. But
Yeah, on
like
the
none of the
original.
comments on this. Yeah, none of the comments on this video say anything about having two. Maybe for righties and lefties.
Well, it's got to be for like use on other systems, right? Like if you could use this on the Switch, maybe. But like, I
Apparently,
don't
there's
know.
a
Yeah,
twin
it's a.
stick compatibility mode for certain games. I don't know.
Is there a version of what was that mech game that had two like physical huge joysticks?
Oh, the Xbox one?
Virtual On. Was
Yeah.
that on Saturn or was that only on Dreamcast?
This comment does say virtual on bulk slash and others.
Okay. All right. So that I could see. I actually don't know if that came up for Saturn though. But if this works for Dreamcast, which it doesn't have a Dreamcast adapter, so again, I don't know. Maybe it's just for hooking up to a PC and playing on emulation. That'd be
Virtual
cool.
on is on Saturn.
They did have Virtual On Saturn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Virtual on Cyber Troopers.
All right. That's cool.
There you go. Oh, maybe that's why. I don't know enough about Saturn to really like comment on it. That's why I was interested in it. All right, so 2 announcements. We can talk first about the one that I've highlighted because we missed it. About a month and a half ago, they released F-Zero 99
Yeah, on the
on
Switch.
Nintendo Switch Online, which I haven't checked out yet. Have you?
No, I haven't.
But I mean, it's F-Zero, and you're basically racing against 98 other people, and it looks like absolute anarchy. I've watched some
I have to, yeah.
because there's like, the cars or whatever you call them, the hover cars are like exploding everywhere, and then there's like NPC things coming at you, and different kind of obstacles and stuff like that. So you're trying to avoid hitting them. You're trying to avoid hitting the other people, and it's just I
Nintendo
gotta check
getting
it
a
out.
lot of play out of this 99 idea, like Tetris
Yeah,
99, Super Mario 99, and they're all pretty fun.
I'm sad that they're temporary.
I am too. Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why. It's like, oh yeah, nobody's playing anymore. Let's take it out. And there's no like available from this time to this time. It
Yeah, when
just
it's
says it's
just not
available
popular
now.
anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, it's
Yeah, I
weird.
got to check this out.
But
It's a good point.
to that point, I also heard that they're going to be releasing a Pac-Man Battle Royale in early 2024. I don't know if this is if this is replacing.
64 players.
Yeah, if this is replacing F-Zero 99. 64 players, and I watched the video featurette on it. It looks really cool. And they might be monetizing this because you can customize your Pac-Man, like you can put them in little outfits and
Yeah.
all
This
sorts
is
of
made
stuff. But
by Bandai Namco, so it's not going to replace
okay, fair. But there's like a ton of Pac-Man maps all kind of jammed together. And from what it seems like, I don't know if they're random or if it's power up based or whatever, but some of those maps will like disappear or explode at certain points. And if you're on one of them, you die. So obviously you're trying to either survive based on that, or you can like get power ups and eat other opponents and things like that. So I don't know. It seems pretty cool.
There's a game that this reminds me of. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's like a four. I can't remember if it's 4 or 6 player Pac-Man arcade machine at my local like barcade, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Is like you compete at Pac-Man against each other. You try and get the most points, and you try and eat each other when you get the power pellets, and it's really fun. So I'm actually looking forward to this.
So actually, Sonoma in chat said, didn't they already have a Pac-Man 99? Yes, they did.
Did they?
And it was discontinued, what, 2 months ago?
Oh, okay.
Or excuse me, it was completely discontinued 10 days ago.
Okay.
They started yeah. So
All right.
August or October 8th was the last day of that.
All right. Well, this comes out in 2024. I wonder if they discontinue it just to make room for this.
maybe a
So
licensing
what the
deal.
heck is this M6 demo unit?
Oh, so moving forward, there's an M6 demo unit, which this is one of those things where they would like send to retailers and things like that to try different games. Or imagine it's at like a Walmart and you have people coming in and they
It's
want to
an
switch.
NES?
Yeah, there's a full NES built in with all what I believe it's all black box games. Let's see, 4, 8, 12, 16 games.
Okay.
And they have the ROM chips inside of it, right? So these are not like distributed units. These are for retailers and all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
one of them came up for auction like this last week on eBay, and they do not come up very often. It was being sold by the American Cancer Society, which I find incredibly interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even like a screenshot
Oh, they
of
got
when
the
they bought
insides
it.
of it.
Yeah. And so they had bought it in 2009 for $4,300. And it only went for 6780 or something like that, which you think about, obviously that's a lot of money. You
Wait, they
think
sold it
about
for 6,700?
the auction finished on eBay for about $6,800 plus
Wow, I
shipping.
would have
So,
expected it more.
right. So, but these are some of those things and we saw this at the auction at the Retro Game Expo. These things have such a niche collector base,
Mm.
right? Like who's going to want this other than a completionist or an NES aficionado? And this wasn't really huge news other than if you followed certain circles and websites and stuff. So I don't know. I see this as a pretty cool thing, kind of a historical item. And they say it does work. There is some like cosmetic stuff going on with the controllers fraying and stuff, obviously, but it seems to be in pretty good shape. But I
Yeah,
don't
the
know about that game.
controllers are like hardwired into the thing, it looks like, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they are standard NES controllers. It's a pretty
Mhm.
cool device because, like, it's this long gray box that you could clearly like fit like a TV on top of, like sit a TV on top of it. In fact, it looks a little
Mhm.
bit caved in, like there has been something sitting on top of it. But then the front is like raised up and slanted toward you a little bit, and there's slots for the controllers to rest in, and there's a little button to select which game, and then it's got a list of all the games and little LED lights to tell you which game you're selecting, which is really cool. It's very neat looking.
Yep. So, and they're all black box games. So what I see is, and there's a game called Stack Up on here too, which I believe you needed the Rob the Robot for, but
Yeah.
this is early distribution. So most of the time, if somebody had the deluxe edition or whatever, they'd assume that you had Rob. But yeah,
Very cool.
yep.
And see, we got a zapper.
Has a zapper too? Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. A gray one. All right.
Yeah, the correct color for the zapper.
Atari. This is Briar's favorite subject this week. Atari wants to make a new Bubsy game, and they basically put it out there on social media like, "Hey, open auditions to come pitch us a new Bubsy game." So, like, we don't want to pay for ideas. Essentially, is what they're doing. Come convince us that you can make our Bubsy game for us.
Atari has been looking so good, right? Like I've commented on this several times during this podcast. They've been making so many good moves, like really like showing a different side of the Atari that has just been run into the ground over the last 30 years. They've got new management. They released that awesome collection last year that what was it? Atari Ages? Was that what it was called? It was
What's that?
phenomenal with all those interviews and
Oh yes,
everything.
Atari 50. Yeah.
Yeah, Atari 50. Oh, it's phenomenal. And like they're releasing that new, I know you don't like it as much as I do, but that new Atari that'll actually play cartridges.
2,600 plus. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool stuff. And then wow, man, did they just stub their toe and fall flat on their face? Bubsy? Like, is there a brand from the 90s that's like more laughed at than Bubsy? It's like one of those things that's just like, it was like clear Pepsi, right? It just got marketed and marketed and marketed, but everybody knew it was shit. You know what I mean? Like everybody.
I'm gonna like, we need to clip this moment, and if they do end up making a new Bubsy game and it's good, I'm gonna come back around because
I'm
listen,
not saying you can't make a good Bubsy game, but why start from the swamp when you could start from the top of the mountain? You know, like why start with Bubsy? You have all these
Because
properties. Atari has all these awesome properties, and they're gonna start with Bubsy.
well, they're not. That's the whole thing. They're like trying to outsource this. Um, but look, Bubsy is a conceptually likable character, and there is a subset of the retro community that probably liked these games.
No,
Right?
no, there's not. Nobody likes the Bubsy games. They were bad games. And they made so many of them. They made like 2D ones. I think they made more than one 3D one, and they just
The 2D
continually
ones
got
were not that
shittier.
bad.
They
The 2D
continually
ones were
got
not that
shittier
bad.
as they went, and they started and they were bad. Yes, they were. I hate to tell you this. They were bad games right from the get go.
For context, for anybody listening to this podcast, Briar likes Night Trap, so let that sink in.
I would much rather play Night Trap than any Bubsy game.
But something like Toxic Crusaders, for example, which wasn't a good game originally, and they're remaking that, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah, but Toxic Crusaders
not
at least
Atari,
has
but
like an instant, like a premise that you're like, oh, that's kind of fun. You know, like the Toxic Avengers and all that stuff. Like, hey, that's kind of a cool premise. Bubsy is just one of a million like manufactured mascots from the 90s that just didn't work out. You know, hey, I got an idea. Let's make an awesome possum game. You know, he was a middling character in the 90s that nobody remembers.
the Genesis one.
I don't even remember. I don't remember.
I feel like they could make a good Bubsy game. I don't know. Like
they could make
Known
a good
Entities
game out
and
of
a Shot in the Dark.
anything, but why choose Bubsy? Like, why don't you make a new adventure game?
Who hurts you? Like Bubsy.
I'm just saying it's a dumb fucking idea. Look,
We'll see.
you have
We'll
a million properties at your disposal, Atari. Why pick the worst one? Like, why this one? Like, why not a new adventure game? You know, like, oh, hey, we're bringing back the classic adventure. You know, we're gonna do something really cool with it, or, you know, like, how many cool ass games I can't even like. How about a new Tempest game? You know, like, there's all sorts of cool shit that Atari has.
They are remaking some stuff, and I've seen video, and it's less than impressive of some of their reboots that they're doing.
Well, I'm sure Bubsy will be different.
Well, if it's not developed by Atari, it might actually be a plus, to be honest.
That's all I got to say about that.
I feel like they could take the character and make it kind of an indie platformer with 2023 mechanics, and it could be pretty good. If not, then it is what it is. I won't buy it. You know, I don't know. Yeah, you got the next two.
Oh, so Sega Saturn Core officially released on the Mister. It is live. It automatically downloads if you update your Mister. You can just add regular old ROMs, right? Well, they're not ROMs. They're like the bin and Q files or the CHUD files, the CHD files. You just add those right to your games folder. And get off to it. I was playing for a few hours last night, checking out a bunch of Saturn games on the Mister. I think I ran into one bug, and it was X-Men versus Street Fighter. Like, the colors weren't right on the characters. Everything else ran fine. I was playing... Jeez, what did I play last night? I played Batsugun. I played Battle Garega. I played Mr. Bones. That game still sucks. I played Shinobi Legions. That game still sucks, but I'm going to pick it for one of these episodes one day because it's just so weird. I was playing a bunch of stuff, and it feels like playing a regular Saturn. It's awesome. That Mr. Man. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, and I've seen some news too about talking about the Mars FPGA and how much it could be better too. So
that's right. The Mars FPGA. That's the next story, actually. The Mars FPGA has been making a lot of buzz around on Twitter and in the retro gaming circles. Now, it's a little bit different because it's going to be a lot more expensive. It's almost twice the price of the Mister at about $700. And it's based on a more powerful FPGA. But what they're saying, and this is a startup, so like I'm not going to get too excited about the Mars FPGA until like this thing is shipping and like, you know, supported for a bit. But what they're saying is that they're going to be able to do, you know, up to probably Dreamcast, maybe even PS2, and a lot more arcade stuff, a lot more like Mortal Kombat, stuff like that. And they're gonna have these little kind of like plugins for the front. It almost reminds me of that. Damn, what's the name of that thing that we're always making fun of? Well, it's got these little plugins that you could either put in like a USB, so you can plug USB controllers into it, or you could plug in a classic controller like SNES controllers or Saturn
Oh,
controllers.
especially the P.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really lost my train of thought there.
sorry.
But yeah, so you're gonna be able to use classic controllers. I'm sure you're gonna have to buy those adapters separately. I think the Mars FPGA is gonna be a costlier option than what we're used to with the Mister. The Mister is not cheap, but it offers so much functionality. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Mars FPGA is going to do. I don't think I'm going to pre-order it though. I think they're planning on coming out with it Q1 of 2024. I think I'm going to hold off on pre-ordering because I just want to see that this thing gets the support, because all the stuff that's already on the Mister, it's got to do all of that perfectly, and then also like prove that it's worth an additional $700.
Yeah, it's got to take
that's a tall order.
Got to take the Mister functionality as like a base level.
Yeah,
right?
And the Mister does so much, so it's like, how do you prove that this is worth $700, or even how do you prove this is worth $300 more than a Mister? And that's what I still haven't really seen yet.
You were talking about the Polymega.
Polymega, yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
The Polymega, how you can kind of swap in and swap out the modules to put in different controllers. How's Polymega doing? Haven't heard from them in a while.
I haven't either. That is not FPGA either. So there you go.
It's not. All right, the big story of the week, Jay. What is it?
I'm very, very, very excited about this. Since we started this podcast, right? What have I been saying that I wish that Analog would come out with at this point?
A N64.
N64.
Yeah, this is actually.
I'm so excited. Like, I don't know what to do with myself.
This thing is kind of badass because not only are they gonna release an analog, N64, it's gonna have 4K output. This is the first analog product with 4K output. This
is gonna have 4 controller ports.
4 controller ports, which it needs to have for base functionality, right?
But I mean, you can use the original controller or the new one, which they're like teasing us. It kind of looks like almost like a Switch Pro controller a little bit.
Yeah, it looks exactly like a Switch Pro controller.
Which I'm not too upset with, to be honest.
No, it's made by 8-Bit Do. Obviously, all their controllers, like that company is kind of like two companies that are kind of like very closely connected. That I think that, to me personally, that controller is almost more exciting than the N64 itself, because there is a complete and total lack of good N64 controllers out there, and there are N64 games that I like, and this will probably be able to work with original N64, I would imagine, through an adapter or something, right? They'll probably have like some kind of Bluetooth adapter that you can plug into an N64, which is very exciting. It looks, like you just said, like a Switch controller without the right side analog stick. And we're just been saying that 8-Bit Do makes really nice controllers. Analog, but going back to the 4K thing for analog, we talked a lot recently about how they stopped making the Mega SD and the Super Nintendo and the Genesis.
Yep.
Yeah. My hopes were at the time, and they still are, that the reason they discontinued those is because they're starting development on analog products that will output 4K. And this is the first one of these that they have announced, right?
Yep.
Like, this is really exciting because 4K is a big step for retro gaming, because like when you start getting into like resolutions and like line counts and line doubling and tripling and quadrupling, 4K is an even multiplier of the original 240p, which 1080p was not. So also, you're going to be able to get excellent like scan line effects and screen filter effects that really make your your 4K TV look like a CRT, which these games look so much better on a CRT than they do on like modern TVs,
Mhm.
especially the fucking N64.
Yeah.
So this is
So
actually really exciting news.
yes, very. There's a couple of things to note. I mean, just in this picture that they released, right? It's got PAL carts, it's got European carts, as well as NTSC. So, you know, that's kind of a no-brainer with analog stuff. All of their stuff is kind of region free for the
Yeah.
most part. There's a couple of things that I'm a little worried about, and we'll see if anything gets updated. But it does say that it's not going to support the open FPGA platform, which is kind of a huge kick.
Oh, that's
Meaning,
a bummer.
yeah. So you know, initially at least it won't support the library or being able to load things on there or anything like that. And that it only will be able to use carts. But didn't they say that about the analog pocket originally too?
No,
I
the
swear.
wasn't the Analog Pocket like the originator of the Open FPGA platform? Does any other device support it? Is the Turbo Duo gonna do it?
I don't remember.
I don't think it is. I think the Pocket is the only thing that thing's on.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
But
Anyway, though,
I don't know.
so
I'm not
cool.
gonna say 100% that somebody won't figure it out eventually, but that's what they had officially have stated.
Yeah. Oh,
The other
Analog's
thing,
like, oh, it turns out that if we allow you to play every video game on one device, you won't buy each device that we make.
right? The thing that's interesting to me is like, why do they call it analog 3D? Why such a generic name?
Oh, they do that with all their stuff, right? They can't say Analog N64.
It's true. But like NT, Nintendo, SG, Sega Genesis,
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. But like my brain started
They
going
should
one
have
further
called
going
it Analog Ultra, right? Right? You know where I'm going, right?
Ultra 64. I don't know. This is super exciting. I do hope that it makes N64 games playable for me. Like that's the thing that I'm most excited about because
Do you
just
not have an N64?
I do. I'm not saying literally playable. I'm talking about like figured like I don't like playing N64 games the way that they look right now. They just look
Oh,
like
well, it's not
garbage
gonna
to
make
me.
them look. I mean, it's gonna make them look sharper, probably, but it's not gonna make them look like it's not gonna upres them.
True.
I mean, they're gonna N64 is gonna look like N64. Hopefully, though, you know what it might do though is it might give you enough like CRT filters, like good ones, to make it look like it used to. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like on a modern TV, which to me is good enough. Honestly, that's what the retro take. I have my N64 actually set up right here on the desk. Can you see it? Oh, here it comes. Here it comes.
Hmm.
Oh, it's the blue one, but it's like
Oh,
clear
the
on the
ice
bottom.
blue. Yeah.
But mine's hooked
Isn't
up to
wait,
the
isn't
retro
that an
tank.
international? Isn't that an international one?
Yeah,
I was gonna say with the clear on the bottom.
that's right. It eats French toast. It's multinational.
We had a blue one here, but it's blue all the way throughout. It was not split like that.
Yeah, I this one's modded to do RGB output and to get rid of the blurriness.
Oh sure.
Um, but I plug this into an RetroTink 5X, and then I turn on scan lines and a aperture grill uh, filter. It looks great. I mean, it's great is a strong word. It looks a lot more like it used to than what it
Sure.
does because you hook up these things up raw to a TV, and man, memories are shattered.
That Vaseline, the
Yeah,
Vaseline
that's
effect.
what the mod did. So if they can do that in the analog, which I suspect they can, they're very talented.
Sure.
They should be able to clear that up, that Vaseline smear filter, and hopefully also add in uh, some like CRT filters. They look good,
I'm still
especially
very.
at 4K. Have you seen any of the stuff that Mike Chi has been putting on his Twitter?
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Man, he's making some cool filters for the RetroTink 4K.
Nice. You know what
Yeah.
I'm most curious about with this too is like, is the FPGA core for N64 like finished and they're going to production? You know, like how early in the process are they with this? Because there's no, it just says coming in 2024. That could just be the pre-order. Like we could be 3 years out
Oh
from
yeah.
actually
When did
acquiring
they
this
announce
thing.
the Turbo Duo? That was 2020, right?
2020. We
And
still
that
don't
is
have it.
coming soon.
It said holiday. I don't know. It said it's supposed to come at the end of the year. It
I think
also said
they
that
said that again lately, so I think it
yeah,
really is coming at the end of the year.
there was some new news saying that the Duo is supposed to come at the end of the year. There's not much left in the year.
No,
Analog.
but I mean they were
Also,
shipping pockets like after Christmas.
people are getting their their clear shell pockets and stuff already, which is cool.
Yeah, those seem to ship really fast.
And the adapters for Neo Geo Pocket
Yeah,
Color, Game
those are
Gear, all
supposed to
that
come at
stuff
the
is
end of
supposed
this
to come.
year.
Yeah, so those are the two things that I have on pre-order currently, are the Duo and the adapters. So
Yeah, I didn't order the Duo because I have a perfectly good Turbo Graphics here, and I don't even collect Turbo games. Actually, yeah, I'm not gonna actually that.
I saw there was a from one of the vendors that I bought like 6 or 7 NES games from. They had what's the super expensive Turbo Graphics game? Magical something?
I don't know.
Magical blah, 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 blah. But anyways, they had a sealed like 9.6 version of that they had gotten recently. It's like the highest ever. It's like a $30,000+ game or something like that. It's wild.
Wow, I have that
A
game.
lot of that stuff. Do you?
Hmm.
On yeah. Wow.
Yep, it's right on my Mister.
Trying to Magical Chase.
Magical Chase. Oh, that's that shooter, right?
Yeah. I mean, loose Hue card only is like 4 to 5 grand.
Hue cards collecting for the Turbo Graphics could be expensive, quick,
Yeah.
because they just didn't sell that well. So there's not that much out there. There's not a ton of inventory. Saturn's that way too.
Yeah. I have, I don't know, a dozen or so Turbo Graphics games. Most of them are like in the $40 to $80 range or so.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I have a few, but most of them are from when I bought them new.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of shooters, Jay. Speaking of,
You like Severed Heads?
oh, I do like severed heads. You know me. You know what they say about me. Give that guy a severed head, and he is a happy boy.
What a weird game, man.
Man, this is the weirdest game we've ever done, for sure.
I've owned this for a hot minute and not played it. I didn't know much about it, but now I do.
Zombie Nation came out in 1991 for the NES. It is a it's a horizontal scrolling shooter where you, instead of piloting a ship, you pilot a samurai's severed head, and you fire eyeballs and vomit at your enemies. There's kind of like this like little story that they give you at the beginning. I'll put some gameplay up while we're talking about it. There's kind of this little story that they give you where like some like alien came to Earth and crash landed on a comet, and like spread throughout the United States, and somehow reincarnated or incarnated the Statue of Liberty and stole some kind of magic sword, and that's why this samurai head kind of like came back to life to fight the aliens. None of it makes any sense, really.
The Tengu mask, yeah.
Yeah, but really, what this game is it's like a redone Japanese game, right? Do you know the name of the Japanese version? Is it Aberimbo Tengu?
Yes.
So that's the one where that was the Tengu mask, right? You flew around a Tengu mask, but they remade it for U.S. audience, and Tengu mask is so weird. Let's give him a samurai face.
And apparently, so fun side note here, there's a developer interview that I found, and
Uh-huh.
the Tengu term, they wanted originally to do the severed head in Japan as well. But
Oh.
Nintendo was like, no, they were like, you cannot do
Oh.
that. So they did the Tengu mask, and apparently Tengu in Japan is like a not popular thing. It's like a joke thing. But
Uh-huh.
they did it as a way to give the finger to Nintendo, essentially. So that's why
But
the
they let him
mask.
do the severed head in America. That's funny.
Yeah, and on the flip side, there's a Statue of Liberty in the Japanese version, which is what they wanted,
Right.
but Nintendo of America wouldn't let them have the Statue of Liberty in the US because who wants to see the Statue of Liberty destroyed? That makes no sense.
Even though it's referenced in the the crawl for the story of the game at the beginning of the game.
So
So you know what it
quickly,
is.
they just quickly turned it into a Medusa head.
Yeah, well, they didn't even turn it into Medusa. They just changed the crown to like
Snake.
static snakes, but she still has like the torch and everything. I don't know. It's like clearly still
Yeah.
the Statue of Liberty.
Sorry to sidetrack us. Yeah. Silly.
So this game is, like I said, it's a side-scrolling shooter. But what's weird about it, like what you're gonna notice right off the bat when you start playing this, is that your character, the head, has momentum. Right? He doesn't stop. When you stop moving him, he kind of like slides a little bit further. It's like an ice level on it, like a 2D game, right? It's like he's got acceleration and he's got momentum and he comes to a slow stop. So he's actually kind of difficult to control at first, I found. Maybe you found it easier, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, I played the actual original card. I didn't notice it as much until the very last level,
Mm-hmm.
where there's a bunch of like pipes and like a maze that you have to go through. I would just tap down and he would like almost like it was, levels that were structured, that like every time you hit the button you'd go down to the next level thing,
Right.
where I really noticed it, but the rest of it I didn't notice as much because I'm just like sitting there frantically trying to avoid all the bullets.
Yeah,
You
that's
can
the other
hardly
thing. Is
see.
like the bullets come from like every different direction, but it can be very hard to like precisely move your character because when you come off of the D-pad, he doesn't stop moving. He kind of slides slowly to a stop. But also when you press the D-pad, he doesn't initially move at his fastest speed. He kind of like slowly gets going, and then you can really like fly across the screen like at maximum speed. But he's got acceleration and deceleration, which is a little bit weird for a shooter. You get used to it though, but initially, right off the bat, I thought it felt super weird. Also, your shot pattern, like you are very weak at the beginning. Like you only get to like shoot one eyeball like every like, I don't know, quarter second or something. So it can actually be hard to hit some of the things that are moving around. But once you save a bunch of fallen people and you level yourself up,
How did you play this, by the way?
On an NES.
Okay.
What do you mean?
I mean, was there like a different version that you played or something? Because like all I had to do was hold the fire button and it was just constantly spitting stuff out, even in the beginning.
Yeah, it auto fires, but it's very slow, right? It's like you don't fire fast.
Oh yeah.
And there's like when you destroy, so this game almost feels like Rampage in a way because you like destroy buildings as you're going,
Yeah,
and the buildings
I
like
felt
are
that too,
blowing
yeah.
up, and then every once in a while when you destroy something, like some dude will just come flying out, like help me, and you gotta like come and pick him up, and that is like your upgrade system, right? So you can, I think if you catch like 4 of those dudes, your weapon upgrades, and then I think you could upgrade your weapon like 3 times, and if you upgrade it a 4th time, then you get a bomb, which is helpful. But
I forgot to use the bomb actually.
yeah, you might because you don't get it that often. I don't know. It's a very bizarre game. Like graphically, it's kind of impressive. I thought.
Yeah.
At least the backgrounds and the main character are. The enemy sprites are kind of generic, and they don't really give you a feeling that they're aliens at all. They just look like kind of like generic army dudes.
Yeah, 100%. I enjoyed this. It's short.
Yeah.
I actually got to the last level in one playthrough in a short amount of time. I didn't quite beat it because the last level's kind of unforgiving. And once you lose all your continues, you're done.
Yeah.
So you get like whatever 8 to 10 continues, but you can continuously get them by getting more points and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is nice. The biggest threat in the entire game, beyond anything else, like beyond bosses, beyond environment or anything, is the lasers / lightning or
flame.
Each level had their own thing where if you got touched by it, it would take 80 or 90% of your health down. You'd go down to like just a teeny bit of health, and you get one tapped by anything else in the game.
Yeah.
So the laser or lightning wouldn't kill you. You could get hit by laser or lightning 100 times. It wouldn't kill you. But then you get touched by one thing, you're dead.
And you could think that you made it past that laser because it doesn't really give you like a very good like indication that you got hit. Like the feedback isn't great on that. So and like on the screen right now, you can see like lightning. It comes on and comes off, so you got to like kind of run past it when it's off. And sometimes it'll clip you right when you're getting through, and then that last bullet hits you, and you're like, "Oh
Crumble.
no, come on!"
Without those things, you can withstand quite a beating, to be
Yeah, you really
honest.
can, and you need to because there's once you
Yeah.
get into the final levels, like it just feels like there's tons of crap on the screen. It slows down quite a bit too.
I think one of the hardest things is, especially when I started, was the enemy bullets are the same color and size and shape as your bullets, at
Yeah,
least the eyeballs or whatever that you're shooting out. So in one of the later levels, you actually face like reflections of yourself that are severed heads shooting stuff, but
yeah,
they're blue,
they're blue.
and it's a lot easier to dodge the blue bullets than it is the orangish reddish bullets that look exactly like
I
yours.
gotta say, the blue samurai head went out like a punk. When I saw those guys, I was like, "Oh, I'm in for it now." But they went down
They were
quick.
like mini bosses. Yeah, they weren't.
Yeah, the bosses are weird in this game too. Like
They're not too hard. Yeah.
we already mentioned the Statue of Liberty. The second boss was like this kind of naked dude just jumping around with axes like all over the place. I think in the gameplay I have playing now, I think I went like he killed me like 3 times in a row before I figured out his pattern. Then there's like what was the next one? What was the
Was there a
third
third
boss?
boss?
Yeah, there's the third boss and the fourth boss was an alien that's just like lying there
I
still.
didn't get to the fourth boss.
It's
I'm
fucking
trying to
weird.
remember who the third boss was.
I can't remember either. It
Not
wasn't
as
memorable,
notable.
but I mean
Yeah.
the bosses are kind of neat. They're like I think this game technically is kind of cool, like for what it is. Like
Yeah.
obviously
It's a cult classic,
it should be. It feels like a cult classic. It's
but
it's
it's
a fun game. It's even if you don't like it, I feel like everybody should check it out because it's so much fun. This is available on the Switch as well, right? I think you put in the notes that it came out from City Nation, City Connection.
yep. And you
And
can get it digitally as well, I believe.
they released it with it's like a 2-pack, so it's got the Zombie Nation plus the Aberembo Tengu, which is the
Yes, yes.
Japanese version. So you get both versions in a package, as well as like a bunch of cool like here's the art, here's the manuals, here's a bunch of extra stuff as well. I'm gonna order that off of eBay. Actually, I think I'm gonna get a copy of that.
This game is based on a manga titled Susumi Saigaku. I don't know how to say it, but it's based on a manga, and I forgot what I was going to say. Come back to it in a second, I suppose.
All right,
Boy.
I'd love to just read this manga because like, what is this even about?
Oh, I was gonna. Yeah, right. Okay, so I got it. So this game, we were saying that it's kind of divisive. Like the reviews, some of them are like good, like 4.3 out of 5, and then there's like other ones that are like 2.1 out of 10. Like it's just like people either liked it or they really didn't like it.
Yeah,
And I found that pretty interesting.
I don't think so. I don't think it's a great game, but I think its weirdness like really pulls a lot of weight. Like it's definitely. I feel like everybody should check this game out. Like I don't think it controls particularly well. I don't think like the shooting game mechanics are very good, but it's just so bizarre that like I really think that it's like worth checking out. Like it's kind of
And
fun.
it's not incredibly difficult once you kind of find the patterns and what to look for, to be honest.
Yeah,
It's pretty
yeah,
forgiving.
yeah. Like you,
So,
you could definitely like get through this in like a day's play.
and to re-mention, Mashable put together a list of the most weird games ever, and this was number 2. Number 1 was Atari Sneak and Peek, which is like hide and seek on the Atari, which I can't imagine that would be any good. Like number 3 was Uniracers for SNES. Number 4 was Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
I'm gonna go ahead and
5
say
is
that's a weak list. This is not. Uniracers is a weird game. Moon
I mean, conceptually, sure.
Moonwalker is a weird game.
It says specifically Moonwalker because you're saving little kids hiding in closets and fighting criminals with your smooth dance skills.
That's exactly what Michael Jackson would do, isn't it? What's weird about that?
I mean, that's another one of those like good games, like cult classic type games.
Yeah, that's a fantastic game. I had that when I was a kid. I wish I had kept that copy because that's an expensive game now.
It can be pretty spendy. Yeah, I do own it, but speaking of
Anything else to
games
say
that I
about
own,
Zombie Nation? It's weird. That's what I think about Zombie
yeah,
Nation. It's
it's
bizarre
weird but
game,
fun.
but very very fun. And like initial impressions are like, ugh, this is rough, and then you kind of get used to the movement, and then it's okay.
You do not get any sense of what the game is from the label or the art.
No, so I was looking at that art. Can you keep that up there for a second? If you look at that art, there's a Hot Wheels just like kind of flipped over at the bottom. I think those are like clay figurines of like the three zombies, and then like this railroad crossing that's like next to, is that a TV on the ground? But the railroad crossing sign is like the same
Yeah,
size.
it's a TV.
And then like the picture of the samurai is like a completely different art style. Like the scale of like everything is just all over the place. Like the TV and the buildings are the same size. It's very strange. It's great. If I had a poster of that, I'd hang it on the wall.
So what are we playing next episode?
So I'm gonna keep with the Halloween theme,
Halloween. Good.
and I'm gonna go with the Super Nintendo classic. I think it's called Devil's Crest, Demon's Crest. Yes,
Demon's Crest.
yeah. This game, Demon's Crest, is available on Switch Online. So if you have a Switch Online service, it's available in the SNES section of that. Is it expensive to buy the?
Yes.
It is.
The cart, I think, if off the top of my head, probably between 130 to 175.
Okay, that's pretty expensive. But a pretty well liked Super Nintendo game. Definitely not as weird as Zombie Nation, but I'm looking forward to it. This is one of those games that I've been kind of like looking forward to getting to eventually. I felt like sticking with the Halloween theme it'd work for that. I was gonna go with Friday the 13th or Night of the Living Dead for the NES. We didn't Friday the 13th for the NES.
Yes.
Oh,
That's the one we did last year. I think we didn't do the other one. There's another NES game that we did.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Is that the one?
There is a Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't even remember doing Friday the 13th. That's funny.
Hold on.
And then I was
That's the
also
one we did?
thinking like Splatterhouse 2, but I feel like we recently did Splatterhouse, so I didn't want to do that so soon. So I thought Demon's Crest.
One. We did one of the horror NES games. I don't know if it was Friday the 13th or the other one.
Okay.
Anyways, we'll have to check that out. But yeah, this Demon's Crest is also part of the Gargoyles kind of storyline. So Gargoyles Quest for Game Boy. There's two of
Yeah.
them.
It's also related to the Ghouls and Ghosts, right? He's one of the characters from Ghouls and Ghosts.
Yeah. There you go. All kind of feeds into each other.
Yeah.
All right. So part 2 of this episode hopefully isn't.
Should I get a drink?
I'll try.
I gotta make you a little bigger here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13 games.
Okay.
14 games. So I had bought some manuals at the Retro Expo that I needed. Basically, like I mostly got NES stuff, and that wasn't because I wasn't looking. There was a couple of games that I was looking for Super Nintendo and N64, and like nobody had them complete. Like Twisted Edge Snowboarding. I really want a nice condition copy of that because it was from my childhood, and it's not a super expensive game, but nobody had it.
I've never heard of that game.
So
that's for
like
Super Nintendo?
Yeah, it's kind of like 1080 snowboarding, but I have this memory of
literally
getting this
just
game.
playing 1080 today.
Yeah, I love that game.
Good. So good.
I love that game. And like Amped Snowboarding was one of my favorites too for Xbox. The first Amp, second Amp, third one was weird. But anyway, so I have a story with Twisted Edge where I bought it, or my parents got it for me as a gift. We went on a road trip. I took it with me.
Oh no.
And then I left it wherever we were, and I never got it back again. So like I just want to have like a nice copy of it to remind me. Anyways, I feel like we've talked about this game at some point. I got it really cheap on price
look at
chartings.
that cover. That is amazing.
So Taboo NES game is basically like it's like a fortune telling game, I think, where it uses like it's just like really boring type thing where you can like learn your future, I think.
Okay.
What do they call it? Tarot cards? I think it's kind of like that.
All right. You'd play a little Ouija on there?
Yeah, something like that. But I just thought it was interesting and weird, and I like those kind of games.
Never invite me to a Ouija board party. I am definitely the guy moving the board. I'm just saying.
A Ouija party. That's what I want to do in Vegas is have a Ouija
I
party.
have a Ouija
So
party.
actually, there's a couple more games that I got. I got some stuff from Easterland. I haven't even opened these two because I got them yesterday. But Vector Man 2 for Genesis, just the second one, complete in box, and then Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I have a funny story about this. When I first got my Game Boy Advance, this was the first game that I got
Oh, neat.
for my Game Boy Advance. So I wanted to get this
Is that
complete in
still
box
sealed?
too. No. I hate it. They put cellophane on everything at Easterland. So to show that effect, these two DS games that I also got from them look sealed, but they're not. They're complete in box. They put this cellophane over everything. So I hate it because you have a cardboard box and then they put this tightly wrapped stuff to put pressure on the box, which I don't like. Anyways, it's annoying. And they'll put stickers on the box too, on the actual cardboard that says no manual, and sucks.
Why don't they put that on the cellophane?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Anyways, quickly going through, I'll start with the kind of cheaper NES games. Work our way up. All right, so I did get one. I got this from the Retro Expo too because it's just kind of cheap. Dr. Mario Puzzle League for GBA, complete in box. I like how all the vendors had the plastic things around the games already too. So
yeah, that's
nice.
better than the cellophane for sure.
Kind of like a little bonus. So Xevious, which I owned, but this is mint condition.
Yeah, that's
And I really
nice. Can
wanted
you
to
show
get
the
it.
back? Yeah, that's cool. Man, I love some of those old boxes. They're so cool looking. Look at that art.
$20 for this. $20 for this in this
$20.
condition. I just want to show you. Yeah. Look at for anybody watching on YouTube, you get the real effect watching on YouTube. This is
Yeah.
He's a collector, and this guy that I bought a bunch of stuff from him, he had a 100% complete CIB NES collection, which I'm not really going for. And he's like, haha, we'll see. And so he was getting rid of a bunch of stuff. He's like, that's what I said too.
That's what I
He was about
thought.
my yeah, he might be a year or two older than me. He wasn't very old. So a lot of these games came from this dude. Any of the ones that have the little sticker on the bottom, I flipped. So Cyberball, again, this was another.
Oh, I remember Cyberball. Yeah.
$45 for it. It's just in
Look at that
fantastic
art.
shape.
Yeah. Can you show that a little closer? Oh, yeah, I remember that game. That was a fun game.
It's like Tecmo football, but with robots.
Yeah.
Jalco. Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited to play that. And kind of in that same vein, it looks like its brother, Robo Warrior. Another NES. I don't know what kind of game this is really. It looks like a top-down dungeon crawler type game almost. Half man, half cyborg. The one-man battalion with a human heart and a computer's brain.
I've seen that box before, but I don't think I've ever even booted up the game. I don't think I've ever seen any gameplay of that.
This was another $20 game.
Yeah, that artwork just kind of stands out, right? It's because it's kind of got that 1920s vibe to it.
Don't these look like they were done by the same development team?
Oh, the one on the left, the Robo Warrior, is so much better.
I'm trying to think of the years that they had. It's the same dev company. 1988 for Robo Warrior, and then 1991 for Cyberball. Actually, could have been the same team.
Robo Warrior makes you think there's a beautiful future ahead. Cyberball makes you think that we're looking at a dystopia.
I feel like this is in the same family as Shadowgate, the one that we did.
Like an adventure game?
Yeah, it's the text-based adventure.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it's this, Uninvited, and Shadowgate are the three. Is that the one that we did? Shadowgate? Something Gate?
Shadowgate, yeah.
So this is fantastic shape. I looked, a couple of different vendors had this for sale, and the vendor that had it the cheapest, it was in the best condition. So I was like,
nice.
All right. It's like $50 game. It's not huge. Right. So now getting into the middling 3 games. Kabuki Quantum Fighter, which I've been looking everywhere in good shape.
That's 3 different words, all right.
So, it's like a platformer. It looks like you're Kung Fu Man from Kung Fu Black Box game.
Cool.
From HAL Games. Is that what that is?
HAL? Isn't it? Aren't they the guys that make
or is it HAI? HAL America, yeah.
Isn't that who makes the Kirby games? Hal?
Probably. This one is an obscure game that you don't see very often, complete in box. It's just an NES game called Space Shuttle.
Okay.
And one of the things I'm pretty sure is this the Challenger.
Oh no.
It looks like the Challenger. Yeah. So, and the reason I bring that up is because the elementary school that I went to and the first grade of middle school was Challenger Elementary because it was based on that tragedy that happened. So I don't. It looks very similar. And
They
also, I
named
went
a
to space.
school after an exploded spaceship.
Yeah, and they would show that video every year to school children. Yeah,
What the
yeah,
fuck? Why are teachers so fucked
yeah,
up?
yeah, yeah. So I have that ingrained in my brain.
I bet you do.
But I also
That's
went to
crazy.
space camp, and they had, at the
You went
Space
to
and Rocket
space
Center.
camp and we've never talked
I
about it. How is this?
I want to
How is
go
this
again. It's
now
so
the first
fun.
time? Dude, I'm so jealous. I would go right now to space camp with
Yeah.
you.
Well, we lived in Huntsville, so it was between 5th and 6th grade. I just went, and it was
Is
awesome.
that where space camp is?
Well, one of them. They have one, the Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville, and then there's one in.
Did you ever
Kennedy
see the
Center.
movie Space Camp?
No.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
no, it's
I
good.
lived it, man.
Yeah,
I
but why would
lived
you
it.
go see a movie? You don't see a movie about. Unbelievable. How did I not know that? That's
Yeah, it was
amazing.
great. But like, you get to be a spaceship and like fly a spaceship around. Like, who doesn't want to do that?
Nobody's sane. Everybody wants to fly a spaceship around. That's why there's space camp.
Yep. And another game that encompasses the entirety of my childhood. Rocky and Bullwinkle. This is maybe not Briar's childhood because it's a Moose and Squirrel.
Yeah.
Moose and
I
Squirrel.
mean, that's older than me even. Like my
Well, yeah, I
my
mean,
parents were watching that shit.
yeah, like I loved Rocky and Bullwinkle as a kid.
Didn't they come out with a movie in the 90s of Rocky and Bullwinkle?
Probably.
What was it? Where were the Boris and Natasha? They were actually, I
Mhm.
liked them. They were pretty fun.
Boris and
Yeah. The bad
Moose and
guys.
Squirrel. But
Moose
like
and Squirrel.
like all of these are just in fantastic shape.
Yeah.
Like just there's some sticker residue I need to take care of, but like just everything, just the quality of the stuff that you found at the Retro Expo. I might have paid around market or slightly under, but because they were kind of obscure, hard to find games and in fantastic condition, I was okay doing it.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, the common stuff like your Super Smash Brothers, all that stuff that you can get everywhere, I'm not going to pay market for that because they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And the last three complete in box games. Another game from my childhood that you probably would have enjoyed.
Ren and
Ren and
Stimpy.
Stimpy, Buckaroos for the NES. The SNES one is the expensive one, but this one was from that same collector and it had the poster in it, which it doesn't always have the poster in it. But like again, just like you don't get
Man, that thing looks
NES
like brand new.
games in this condition very often.
Yeah.
So it's hard to pass up stuff like that that's like
I didn't even know Ren and Stimpy had an NES game. I would have guessed like Super Nintendo.
there's two Super Nintendo games,
Yeah.
actually. There's Buckaroos, which is super rare and pretty expensive. Then there's the Firehouse Dogs one. So yeah. You'll like this one.
Oh, I
Vice
do like
Project
that one.
Doom, which I didn't have it complete before, and now I do because we did it on the podcast again. Fantastic
Yeah, that's a
shape.
cool game. We did that one on the podcast, right? We played that game.
We did,
Yeah, that's a fun game.
Yep. So that's dope. And then the last one that I wasn't even gonna buy, but the guy talked me into it. The same collector guy that had
The guy that knows that you're eventually gonna go after the full set.
Yeah, it's not a game that I care about. It's called Le Emperor. It's like a
Le
strategy
Emperor.
based game. And it's not cheap.
Koei. Are they the same guys that made like the Nobunaga's Ambition games?
Probably, yeah.
They're still around, Koei, right?
He's told me on it because he's like, you never see this game in this condition with all of the maps in mint condition and all this stuff, and nobody cares except for me, is what he said.
Because only dads bought this game when it was new.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
maybe some aunts buying. Oh well, this game looks like it'd be educational for little Timmy.
Yeah,
we'll get this for little Jay before he goes to space camp.
It's one of those games where the cart is like $90 to $100, but a complete copy is only like double that, maybe.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I got a dog scratching up the carpet behind me.
Nice.
Yep, that's it.
That's a pretty eclectic selection, honestly.
Yeah.
Like they are like half of those games I've never even heard of before. That's cool, Jay. I like
That's
those.
kind of my favorite thing. And the same guy also he sold me a bunch of NES cart protectors for $3. I was like, "Is that like a pack of 25 for $3?" He's like, "Yep." Like, all right, sure.
Nice.
Normally like
I think I got to do something like that. Man, my shit's getting all dusty. I
Yep.
try and keep like the dust out of this room, but you know, there's only so much you can do. All right, Jay. Good episode,
Demon's
man.
Crest.
There's a lot to do. Yeah, Demon's Crest. You looking forward to it?
I am.
All
I've been
right.
wanting to play that a lot.
Me too. We got 2 weeks to play it too. We got we're back on schedule for a change.
Nice. We're covering all the expensive games now. I feel like we're diving in, but this one at least you
Yeah.
can play on Nintendo Switch.
You know what the other game I was thinking about doing was Ghostbusters for the Genesis. But I think Demon's Crest is the way to go. All right. I think that's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back in 2 weeks with Demon's Crest for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the SNES. Bye.
Bye.